The Los Angeles Rams front office just made a move that has the entire building questioning the long-term vision for this secondary. I am hearing from sources inside that the decision to let a premier ball hawk walk for just $5.5 million is sending shockwaves through the locker room today. This is not just a standard free agency departure because the player actually wanted to stay in Los Angeles for the right price. Instead, he is heading to Dallas and leaving Sean McVay with a massive hole to fill. Why would they let him go now? Kobe Durant is officially heading to the Dallas Cowboys after the Rams decided to part ways with their most instinctive ball hawk. This move is particularly stinging because the price tag was only $5.5 million, a figure many expected the Rams to easily match given his value in sub-packages. Durant was a player who thrived in specific situational roles, often providing the takeaway juice this defense desperately needed during high-leverage moments. My sources tell me that while the team was planning for a slight drop in his overall snap percentage, his presence allowed a high degree of versatility for the rest of the unit. Specifically, having Durant on the outside meant the Rams could comfortably move Trent McDuffie into the slot, creating a chess match that most offensive coordinators struggled to solve. Now, that entire defensive architecture is being questioned because Durant expressed a genuine desire to return to Los Angeles, yet the front office simply chose to look the other way. Even with Emmanuel Forbes on the roster, the depth at the cornerback position is looking dangerously thin as we head into the meat of the offseason program. You have to wonder if the Rams are banking on an internal development or if they truly believe Forbes can provide the same level of ball production that Durant showcased during his tenure here. This is a gamble on efficiency over proven talent, and in a division like the NFC West, that is a very dangerous game to play. The Rams are essentially saying they can replace high-end takeaway ability with scheme, but as we have seen in the past, players make plays, not just systems. The secondary still looks capable of winning games, but the margin for error has just shrunk significantly because we know how much this team has struggled with cornerback health in recent years. If one starter goes down, the lack of a proven fourth corner like Durant becomes a catastrophic problem overnight. But that is not even the most confusing part of how the Rams are handling this defensive transition right now. There is another name in this secondary that proves exactly why letting depth walk is a massive risk. Do you think the Rams front office made a massive mistake letting Kobe Durant join a rival like the Cowboys for such a low price? I want to hear your thoughts in the comments below because this move feels like a step backward for the secondary. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and like this video to stay updated on everything. Darius Williams is the exact reason why fans should be nervous about the current state of the cornerback room after Durant's departure. Think back to last season when the plan was for Williams to essentially ride the bench all the way to a quiet retirement. He was supposed to be the veteran insurance policy that never actually saw the field. However, life in the NFL comes at you fast, and by week 2, Williams was forced into starting snaps due to the inevitable reality of injuries. This is the context that makes the Durant news so frustrating. The Rams are operating as if they are immune to the attrition of a 17-game season, yet their own history with Darius Williams proves that you are always one snap away from needing your depth to be starters. Beyond the secondary, the issues are compounding because the Rams also failed to address the linebacker room in a meaningful way during this cycle. While the team did bring in Grant Stewart, he is primarily a special teams contributor rather than a defensive solution. The real crisis is at the second level where the team still lacks a true coverage linebacker. Nate Landman and Omar Speights are absolute hammers when it comes to stopping the run and playing physical football. But my film sessions and internal reports confirm they have significant deficiencies when forced to drop into pass defense. In a league where tight ends and running backs are the primary weapons in the passing game, not having a linebacker who can run with them is a recipe for disaster. The coaching staff might be looking to pivot by using Josiah Stewart or Byron Young in more off-ball roles, or perhaps they lean heavily into dime packages with Tank McCullough to hide these coverage flaws. But let's be honest, those are creative bandages for a wound that should have been stitched up during free agency. The Rams are essentially asking their secondary to do even more work because the middle of the field remains a massive liability against explosive passing attacks. It is a high-wire act that requires perfect health and perfect execution, two things that are never guaranteed in professional football. The lack of a veteran coverage specialist is a glaring omission that could haunt this defense in December and January. They are betting on youth and versatility to overcome a clear lack of specialized talent in the linebacker core. The impact of these decisions goes far beyond just two names on a depth chart because it reveals a significant shift in how Les Snead and Sean McVay are valuing specific defensive archetypes. By letting Kobe Durant walk and failing to sign a coverage-first linebacker, the Rams are effectively signaling that they believe their pass rush can mask any deficiency in the back end. It is a philosophy that relies on guys like Byron Young and Josiah Stewart creating immediate pressure so that the linebackers and secondary don't have to hold their water for more than 3 seconds. However, we have seen this story before in Los Angeles. When the pass rush gets neutralized by a quick-game offense, the secondary gets exposed. The decision to prioritize special teams over defensive depth is another fascinating layer to this puzzle. The 2025 special teams unit was, by all accounts, a disaster. It was the weakest link on the entire roster. So, signing Grant Stewart and Joe Cardona makes sense from a stability standpoint. Cardona is a seasoned pro who brings the consistency that the coaching staff craves, especially after the unit's struggles last year. But you have to wonder if they overcorrected. They replaced Jake McQuaid, who was actually one of the few consistent bright spots, with Cardona. They also let Troy Reeder, their top special teams ace, remain a free agent. This indicates a total overhaul of the third phase of the game, which is necessary, but it shouldn't come at the expense of the defensive identity. If the Rams find themselves in a position where they are winning the special teams battle, but losing the middle of the field because Nate Landman is being picked on by an elite slot receiver, the fans are going to look back at the Kobe Durant decision with a lot of regret. The front office is clearly banking on the idea that they can find good enough coverage through a rotation of young players and hybrid safeties. It is a cost-saving measure that allows them to keep the core together, but it removes the safety net that a player like Durant provided. The future of this defense now hinges on whether these young linebackers can take a massive leap in their pass drop awareness. If Omar Speights doesn't become a three-down player overnight, the Rams will be forced to play a lot of sub-packages that might leave them light against the run. Ultimately, what we are seeing is a Los Angeles Rams team that is willing to take massive calculated risks to fix their special teams while gambling on the depth of their defense. Letting Kobe Durant leave for Dallas is a move that could potentially come back to haunt them in a playoff matchup against the Cowboys. It wasn't just about his talent. It was about the flexibility he gave the entire secondary to match up against different offensive looks. Without him, the pressure on Emmanuel Forbes and the remaining cornerbacks to stay healthy is immense. The front office is betting that the collective is stronger than any one individual. But in the NFL, individual playmakers are the ones who turn the tide in the fourth quarter. The failure to address the coverage linebacker spot further suggests that the Rams are committed to a specific defensive vision that might be vulnerable to the league's most sophisticated passing offenses. If they can't stop the ball in the middle of the field, the entire defensive structure could collapse regardless of how well the special teams unit performs under Joe Cardona and Grant Stewart. This offseason has been about choices, and the Rams have chosen to prioritize special teams, stability, and salary cap flexibility over proven defensive utility. It is a strategy that requires everyone on the current roster to play at their absolute ceiling. If the young players don't develop at an accelerated rate, this could be a season defined by what-ifs. Did the Rams do enough to protect their secondary? Can they survive an injury to a starting linebacker? These are the questions that will be answered on the field. But right now, the internal temperature suggests a mix of confidence and underlying anxiety. This team is talented, but they are playing a dangerous game with their depth. I want to know what you think about this defensive philosophy. Is the front office being smart with the cap, or are they leaving the door wide open for opponents to exploit their secondary and linebacker coverage? Drop a comment below with your take on the Kobe Durant situation and the linebacker room. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button if you want more deep dive insider analysis on the Los Angeles Rams. We are going to be tracking every move and every training camp battle as they happen. Stay tuned, because this roster is still very much a work in progress. Horns up.